lead with integrity? Would your employees agree? Mine didn't. And that got me into trouble and created a mess on our team that took me a little bit of time to clean up. And yet, integrity is the number one thing that people look for in their leaders. So it's so important for you to lead with integrity. We're going to talk about that today. Hey, my dear, I'm leadership development coach Kathy Archer, and I help women enjoy impactful leadership because I believe that you should be able to make that incredible, passionate difference you want to make in your nonprofit, and that you should have some joy and balance in life. And it's possible to have both. And that's the work I do to get you there. We're going to talk about integrity today, but I'm going to share this over into my Confident Women Leaders community. Far too many women leaders in nonprofits feel isolated and alone, and that's just not okay. Inside of the Confident Women Leaders community, we're creating a network of women who are supporting each other as we learn, grow, and develop together. And I hope you will join us. So give me a second while I share this into my community. Share to a group. Confident Women Leaders community, share. So, integrity. Integrity is the sense that you can be trusted to walk your talk, so that what you say aligns with what you do. And that's not always the case for leaders. We'll say something, but our actions speak louder than our words. And that's when people start to recognize that we're not in integrity. When we're not walking our talk, when we're not following our ethics, our morals, our standards, our guides, we're doing something different. People feel that, they know that, and then they don't trust us. So I had gotten this feedback back when I was leading in an organization via a performance appraisal. And the feedback was clearly Kathy lacks in integrity. And some of you have heard this story before, but it's worth repeating because it comes back to my perception versus their perception. And reality is what I believed was not true. I was trying to convince myself that I was walking my talk. But my staff saw something different, and they weren't okay with that. And they told me that through my performance appraisal. So I had to go back and go, well, what does this mean? And if I'm not in integrity, how do I get to that point where I'm back to leading with integrity? So what I had to do is I had to start picking apart. If integrity means that I'm walking my talk, living in alignment with my values, if my ethics and morals all match, then what are my values? What are my ethics and morals? And where am I not following those, or where am I not in alignment with those? And so for me, I had to look at, okay, think for a moment about your top values. Many of the women that come to me, the top value that they have is family. And yet they show up at work every day and there's this imbalance between what they say about family and their actions. Or work-life balance is very important to me, but there's a lack of work-life balance. I was talking to a leader yesterday and she said she comes into the office at 9, leaves at 5, and then she goes home to her 2-year-old and does what she needs to do from 5 till 7, and then she's back online from 7 till 10. Okay, so let me just do the math here. You already put in 8 hours. Now you're going to put in 3 more. That's 11 hours if my math is correct. That doesn't sound like you're balanced to me. But if your staff see that and know that you're accessible every night, that you're responding to emails, that on the weekends you are sending out stuff, they're going to say, okay, wait, she always totes her horn about being in balance, and she always tells us it's okay to not answer emails in the evening, but she's doing it. And so that's that imbalance that happens sometimes is we'll say, take a day off if you need a day off. It's okay. I get it. Mental health. We all need to do our due diligence in taking care of ourselves. And yet as a leader, you never do. And you're burning out and you're tired and you're sniffling and you're run down and you're coughing and you're like, never take a day off. That's that imbalance. Perhaps you always will say to your staff, it's really important. I want to make sure that I'm supporting you. We're going to meet once a month. We're going to go through all your goals. And then, you meet once a month. And then the next month you're like, oh, actually, can we just slide that a couple weeks down because I don't have time? And then, so now suddenly it's 6 weeks away. And then after that, it's like, oh, I'm away that week. Can we just skip next month and do it the following month? That's that imbalance. That's where you're not in alignment. And that's where your staff will judge you as not being in integrity. If you say, I'm going to meet with each of you weekly and review or monthly and review what you're going through, and then you don't, you lack integrity. Another example, let's say that you say we need to be open. We need to practice brainstorming and coming up with innovative ideas at staff meetings. And you walk into every staff meeting and here's the problem. And you say, this is what I want to do. And you offer a solution. And then you say, so what do you guys think? Well, you've already answered it. You've already come up with the solution. And they know that yours is right. Even though you don't say that. Even though your words say, I'm open to suggestions. Your actions, by taking your answer and putting out there, and remember there's a power and authority differential there. You have more power and authority than your staff do. And so you've already put your solution out there. Nobody's going to give their opinions or ideas when you've done that. Openness is sitting back saying, here's the challenge that we're faced with. What do you think? And when somebody shares their idea, rather than, we know the rules of brainstorming, but we never follow them. Oh, that won't work. Or we can't do that. Or we don't have the money for that. Or we don't have the resources for that. And you shoot down every idea that gets thrown out. Nobody's going to share their ideas anymore. So they're not going to judge you as being open and honest, or open to ideas and willing to brainstorm, because you're not. You shut down everything that comes your way. Let me give you another example. Personal and professional development. It's important that we grow. It's really important that we have that growth mindset, that we commit to training and development, that we're always learning. I'm a lifelong learner. And when was the last time you opened a book, took a course, went to a conference? Maybe perhaps you say to somebody during the annual performance appraisal, we're going to get you that training this year. It's really critical. I know you've been waiting for a while and you really want it. We're going to make sure it happens. And they wait. And they wait. And then they ask and you're like, yeah, I haven't quite secured the funding yet. And they wait. And then they ask gently one more time and you're like, this is that really busy time. I don't think we have time to fit it in right now, but we'll get to it. I promise we'll get to it. And then they wait. You lack integrity. And so for me, what was happening was we had grown so fast and I was always committed to my staff and I was supportive of them. But as we grew really fast, the stress level in me increased. I struggled to find the time to give them the care and support and attention that I wanted to and that I said was important to me and that I had demonstrated in the past. But because it got so busy so fast and I was being tugged and pulled in a zillion directions, I lost the work-life balance. I struggled to follow my values. I struggled to commit to staff in a way that I wanted to and that was important to them. So the first step for you is to go, wait a minute, what's going on? Am I living in integrity? Do my staff see that I'm in integrity? The first step is to identify your values, your ethics, your morals. You need to know what those are and to really clearly do the work to understand them. And that's the second step. So you identify your values, and the worksheet that we've got today, and again, it's in the notes, the worksheet that we've got today will help you identify your values. But again, you have to take them to that next step. So one of the things that is a value of mine is respect. And I was at a meeting last night and somebody came in late. They were unprepared and they kind of disrupted the group when they came in because they showed up late. To me, that lacks respect. And I was, annoyed. And then when I gave them feedback later, my feedback was kind of bitchy, I'll be honest. It wasn't respectful. And so I want respect, but I wasn't being respectful. And so it's like, okay, wait a minute. How could I have given that feedback in a different way? If I want respect from others and I want others to respect my time and the work that I'm doing and the group as a whole, then I also have to display that respect. So how does that show up? Respect isn't only about time for me. It's about managing my feedback as well and making sure that I'm giving that in a respectful manner. So when I start digging apart respect, I can look at, okay, it's around resources, my time, my commitment, the work I'm putting in. It's also about attitude. It is about the way I say things as well as the manner in which I do things. So I started to dig that apart. You need to do the work first to identify your values, and then second is to reflect on them. One of the other things, if you look at the values verification course, if you're in the training library, you'll know that the values verification course has a worksheet that looks at where are you spending your time, your dollars, your energy in connection to that value. So if your value is lifelong learning, then are you spending time reading, studying, going to courses? Are you investing in that? Is your money going for that? If all of your money is going for new purses and new shoes and you're never investing in training, but you say that training is important to you, there's a mismatch in your alignment. And that's where people judge you as being not in integrity. Is you have to look at what are my values and how am I showing up with those values? If I say to my granddaughter, you're really important to me and grandma loves spending one-to-one time with you, and then I never spend one-to-one time with her, that's an identification of my resources and how I'm using my resources or not using my resources. If I never spend that time with her, she's going to go, yeah, grandma, I get it, and roll her eyes and go, grandma's not really invested in me. She doesn't really want to spend one-to-one time with me. She just says that. And that's what happens with our staff too. If we're not invested with them, if we say we are, but our actions are different, we're not in integrity. So you have to take apart what your values and ethics and morals are, and then really line them up with your day. Look at your agenda, your calendar. Where do those values, ethics, and morals show up in your calendar? How are you in alignment with them? If you say to your staff, we practice forgiveness on this team, and then, you look at staff meeting and somebody does something and here's what you do. You complain to your admin support about her at coffee break. That's a lack of integrity. And I've done that. I've been there where I'm so frustrated with an employee and I have nobody to talk to. So I go to the wrong person. And that comes back to bite me in the butt again and again and again. And so it's one of those things that I've really had to work on to be in integrity, is to watch who I'm gossiping with and to watch that I don't gossip. That if I have a problem or a challenge and that I need to talk about, that I need to find the right person to sort that out with. That I need to maybe do some journaling if nobody's around, or as I'm driving, have a conversation with myself to sort of figure it out. But that gossiping to somebody or venting to somebody is actually not the person I want to be. It's not living in integrity. So integrity is really walking your talk, aligning with your values so that what you say and do match. And it is the number one thing that employees want from their leader, is to know that they're leading with integrity. So if you want to know if you're leading with integrity, take a look at that. Am I really walking my talk? Don't be afraid to ask your staff. If you have the opportunity, say, hey, you know what? I was just thinking this morning about integrity, and integrity is about, walking your talk. Do I walk my talk? Do I do what I say I'm doing? And you'll get some feedback. And it might be some feedback that surprises you. There might be some affirmation that you do in some ways. But if you have a relationship with an employee where you can dig a little bit deeper, do that and say, okay, where am I not? Where could I do better? Where could you see some improvement? And you might be really surprised. So go ahead and grab the worksheet. That's going to help you dig through the values. And again, the link is in the notes. But do those things. Identify your values. Reflect on how they show up and how you can live in alignment with them on a day-to-day basis, and then practice it. Those 3 steps are really going to ensure that you're leading with integrity. And again, I've repeated this a zillion times. It's the number one thing that we want from our leaders. And I'll tell you, when I do 360s with the clients that I work with, again and again and again, women lack integrity often as a leader. And it's the area that we have to do some work on. And it starts with getting clear on who you are so that you can live in alignment with the type of person you are. No more masks, no more facades, no more armoring up, suiting up as you go to work every day. Just being you and living in alignment and leading in alignment with you. That's what's going to make the incredible difference. Identify your values, ethics, morals. Reflect on how those can show up on a day-to-day basis, and practice those day after day after day. This is a lifelong commitment, my dear. It's ongoing support to really work through this. If you found today helpful, then I think you'll really find the training library helpful. Far too many women leaders wish that they had access to a coach or mentor as in their nonprofits, but don't think they or their organization can handle it. But you can. In the training library, you not only find ongoing personal and professional development, but you have access to an executive coach at your fingertips. That's me. That way, when you face those inevitable challenges in leadership that of course you are going to, then you have the support and the direction you need to get through them. So just go to kathyarcher.com/library or click the link in the notes, and you can find out more about the training library. Here's the deal, my dear. Again, we want to live in integrity, then walk your talk. Do the work to walk your talk. Do the work to know what your values, ethics, morals are, and live in alignment with those. Because when you do, you'll move from surviving to thriving in both your leadership and your life. Go make the rest of your day awesome, my dear.